Welcome to MTI Matters, a series of programs focusing on alumni of Manatee Technical Institute and how their training at MTI has made a difference in their lives. My name is Kathy Matthews. I'm a career counselor, former instructor, and alumna of MTI. As your host, I'll be introducing you to some of your neighbors who are using their education at MTI to benefit themselves, their families, and our community. Today, we'll be meeting someone I had the pleasure of getting to know when he was a student in our EMT class, Kevin Mcgrath, who began his MTI experience in our drafting program, has literally moved on to reach great heights. Let's see what he's doing now. Hey Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about your current employment?
Yes, I work for the United States Air Force. I've been doing it for about 11 years now altogether, on and off, once or twice. I'm a crew chief, which is pretty much an aircraft mechanic. Work on airplanes, fly around the world with them. It's a pretty good job. I enjoy it.
Great. And how about your family life? Has that changed?
Yes, it has a bit since I first came here. I have 3 wonderful children, 2 girls and a boy and a wife. It's been going great.
Your experience early on with MTI, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I first started MTI back in probably around '96. I was attending Bayshore High School next door, and I was in a drafting program over there, and the teacher for that class was the football coach. So that was probably one of the only classes I did well in. Well, I could only take that for 2 years. So when the 2 years at Bayshore was up, I found out I could come over to MTI and continue drafting. So I decided to come over here to MTI and take the drafting program as a post-secondary or a secondary student first. Once I completed high school, I came over as a post-secondary student, finished up the drafting program, and went on from there.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you think that early experience at MTI has made it a little mattered in your life?
It's made a huge difference in my life, actually. When I started MTI in the secondary phase while still attending high school, I was a pretty brash student at the time, and there were 2 instructors, Jack Cronhart and Michelle Melich, that if they weren't introduced into my life, I probably would not be where I am today. They kind of mentored me into being a responsible individual that I was not at the time. And they really captured me with drafting, got me interested in it, used a little bit of tough love, and I tried to prove them wrong. But in proving them wrong, I really excelled. I guess that's what they were trying to do anyway. I just didn't know that at the time. But that instilled a lot of great skills in my life that I've utilized in other employment as well as in the military.
So Kevin, you started out in drafting with Jack Cronhart and Michelle, and they've taught you a lot of good things and got you going. And where did you go after that?
After I graduated the drafting program, I moved back to my home state of Massachusetts, where I got a job at a company called Able Glass. There I designed the framing for all the glass. After about a year of that, I decided that I wanted to continue my education, but found out the harsh reality that I didn't have the money for it. So I enlisted into the military with the aspiration of just doing 4 years to get the GI Bill and getting out. And I fell in love with the service. It was one of the best experiences of my life, still is today. After about 8 years of that, during that 8-year period of time, I settled down, had a wife, family, decided that they were more important than going overseas all the time. So I decided to get out and come back to Manatee County. And during my time in the service, I did continue my education. I graduated from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University with a degree in engineering. And so when I came back to Bradenton, the goal was to go back to the roots of drafting per se and pursue this engineering job. Well, I worked at a couple companies here locally and decided that it just was not for me. I went from flying around the world and in a military atmosphere to a desk. Decided that wasn't my cup of tea. Talked to a couple of friends I knew from high school. One of them was a firefighter. He's like, hey, you need to come down to the station. So after a day down at the station, I decided, you know what, this could replace that camaraderie and that family environment I had with the military and still keep the family happy with me being home every day. And I enrolled in the fire academy and then I needed to take EMT, so I came back to MTI again. So that's where I met you the first time, when I came in to enroll for EMT.
I remember meeting you for the first time because we had pretty filled classes at that time, and you came in and you told me that Dr. Cantrell had sent you over because she knew that you were a great student. You had told me that you had competed in Skillsusa and you won medals in national competition, state competition, so I knew you were the type of student that our EMT program really needed. I remember that time, and I'm so very happy that you have really exploded and gone to really far heights in your career. Tell me a little bit now how you think MTI mattered in your EMT experience.
It was unfortunate that once I did graduate EMT and the fire academy that I just could not get full-time status at the fire department. I worked for about a year and a half part-time with them, and then ended up getting a phone call back from the service. And they asked if I wanted to come back and be stationed here in Florida at Tampa at MacDill Air Force Base. And I said that that was a great idea. Well, the EMT portion has now become a secondary job for me in the military. For my squadron, I'm the guy that teaches the self-aid buddy care and the CPR classes, and that EMT is what bolstered that and gave me the knowledge to be able to teach other military individuals how to perform self-aid buddy care and CPR in combat situations in the field.
Well, I'm glad we have you in our area to help us and help the community. Michelle, you and I both graduated from MTI. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came about your position today?
Currently, I'm the Skillsusa coordinator on campus, and what happened was Skillsusa became such an integral part of our curriculum and our programs here that we developed a Skillsusa coordinator, which is me, to meet the needs of that organization. Prior to that, I was the drafting instructor for several years, based on my background and so on, as being a drafting student when I was here as a high school student.
Can you tell us a little bit about when you first met Kevin in the program, and he talked with us about how you were very instrumental in his success today. So can you go back to that point and tell us a little bit about your experience with Kevin?
Kevin was, as he said, a high school student of mine when I was very young here at MTI as an instructor. And quite frankly, I could see where Kevin was coming from because I had also been a graduate of Bayshore High School and came to MTI in the drafting program. Quite frankly, I thought that Kevin, when he came here, is like with many high school students that came here, he really needed a direction. And it's so nice to see him blossom into the person that he is from the high school student that we started with when he enrolled in our program originally.
How do you think MTI mattered for you working with Kevin and the drafting program?
As I said, I think Kevin needed the direction and so on. He also needed discipline, and I think through the drafting program and the mentoring of Jack Cronhart, and I'm going to say Jack Cronhart mainly, and myself, Kevin really got that direction and discipline that he needed. Kevin also became involved in Skillsusa as a high school student and then as an adult student, and I really think that that gave him the discipline that he needed and was looking for. As a post-secondary student, Kevin was elected as the Florida Skillsusa president, and originally I was a little hesitant about helping him with that because he needed the discipline and so on. But I'm really glad to see that it has worked out for him and really helped him with to become the person that he is today.
I agree with you 100%. How do you think MTI mattered in helping our community?
Well, MTI offers several trade and industrial programs as well as health programs, so to help the community really to provide quality trained employees. We're #1 in the nation in Skillsusa. We have been for the past 7 years, and I really think that the teachers and the staff here do a great job in providing the well-trained workers to the community.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. We really meet the needs of our community, and I think we exceed them as well.
Yes, we do.
As you can see, MTI matters. Welcome back, Kevin.
Hi, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks. Can you tell me what rank you are?
I'm a tech
now?
sergeant now in the United States Air Force.
Okay, and what does a tech sergeant do?
Tech sergeant is pretty much a career non-commissioned officer. When you get to this level in your career, you're pretty much decided that this is what you're going to do for a living. And basically, you're in charge of anywhere from a handful of people to an entire area at work. Depends on what you do, really.
I understand. Is this correct that you are in MacDill? Is that your current location
Yes,
that you're assigned to?
Yes, ma'am.
My brother-in-law was at MacDill. So
Okay.
tell us a little bit about the MacDill Air Force Base.
Okay, I'm stationed up at MacDill Air Force Base. Prior to that, I was out at Travis Air Force Base in California, where I spent about 8 years. That was my first duty station. Like I've told you previously, I got out for a while, came back to Manatee County, got back into Manatee Technical Institute, decided to go into the fire program. Didn't work out well. The military called me back up, offered me a station here at MacDill, so I jumped on that so I could stay here locally. And I now work on KC-135 aircraft out of MacDill.
So is that your mission?
Yes, my mission basically is to work and maintain 135 jet aircraft and make sure they're worldwide ready and deploy with them when need be.
Fantastic. And I know that you said that you had a family, so being right here at MacDill makes it really convenient.
It does, it does. It makes it very convenient. For my wife, that is. She gets to stay here locally with everybody, and I commute 45 minutes each way every day, so.
That's wonderful. That's so great. Now, I know you mentioned a little bit about when you joined the military prior to MTI. When was that again?
I joined the military in late '99 is when I initially signed contracts, and I ended up shipping out to basic training in April of 2000.
And why did you choose to go into the military at that point?
I believe that after I left Manatee Technical Institute, I moved back up to my home state of Massachusetts, and I was working as a draftsman, and decided that I wanted to further my education, and being out there on my own, couldn't really afford to do so. I always had an aspiration for the military, decided that I was going to go forth with that and just do 4 years to get the Montgomery GI Bill and press on with my life. Fortunately for me, I fell in love with the military, and here I am today, still doing it.
I hear a lot about basic training. I mean, everybody's going to take these basic training classes, and I've always thought I'd love to be able to do that. Now, probably not. Can you tell me about your basic training?
Basic training was interesting. I gotta say, the first night you're there, you wonder what the heck did you just do to yourself. Everyone's nice to you all the way to the airport from the MEP Center, that's where you in process. And then you leave from whatever city that you went to, and everyone gathers up down at Lackland. You land at the local airport, they're nice, they offer you drinks, and you get on a bus. And then as soon as you pull into Lackland Air Force Base, where basic training's at, that's when the niceness goes away and everything you own gets thrown around and dumped out, and people are screaming at you, and everything from all the money that you possess, all the serial numbers have to be written down, and it's just very structured, ordered, and they break you down, build you up. Hindsight, looking back on it, it really wasn't that bad. You know, it was 2 months, I guess, not really the end of the world, and it was a good experience. Now that I look back, I laugh that we were so nervous. Like, if I saw a tech sergeant at the time, I'd be like, oh my God. But now it's not a big deal.
It's a change, I think, and people, sometimes it's a little difficult for people to make change, but I'm glad it worked out for you. Now, I know the services, military, give you a lot of training. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about some of the training you've received while you were in the service? And then tell me a little bit about what you're doing currently in training.
From the get, like I said, at basic training, that's the ultimate, landscape where they begin you. They break you down so that they can build you back up and mold you into what they're looking for. They want somebody that has service, integrity, and their core values are service before self, integrity first, and excellence in all we do. And they really try to instill that in every aspect. From basic training, depending on what career field you go to. In my case, I went off to Shepherd Air Force Base, where I learned aircraft fundamentals, just learning about this is a wing, these are what the flight controls on a wing are, this is how the airplane actually flies. From there, you go to your first duty station, where mine was at Travis Air Force Base in California. And you go through for me, it was Maintenance Qualification Training Program, which is MQTP is what they call it. And in there, you learn more in depth about your job. For me, initially, when I came in, I was just a crew chief. So you learn all the basic fundamentals of making an aircraft safe for flight, inspections, maintenance, things from that. From there, you progress into becoming a flying crew chief, which I also did. And at that time, you learn how to be an electrician, a hydraulics guy, a communication and guidance control guy. You pretty much learn all facets of the aircraft. So when you're out on the road with the plane, you can handle everything on your own. From there, I decided that I wanted to become an MQTP instructor. So I then went to a profession of instruction course through the military, and they taught me how to be a military instructor. So then I took everything that I learned over the years and trained younger guys how to now work on the airplane. From there, I went on to the Non-Commissioned Officers Academy, to where you learn how to become an NCO in the military and deal with all the good and the bad of being a supervisor, I guess you could say, but not so much in your sense in the civilian sector. On the military side, things are a little bit more brash if you're bad and good if you're good. And then from there, I got out, and on my way back in, when I transitioned to a different airframe, I then went to school to learn the particulars about that airplane, not so much aviation itself. So that's where I am today.
Great. I love the values that they have, the core values. I think everybody could really use some training in those areas this time of day. And I'm so happy to know that you're here and working in that area to make sure our military personnel are safe when they're flying. So that's great. What do you, where do you envision yourself in the future with the military?
Back when we were all young airmen, they used to call me a lifer. And we joked around because I was like, I'm just in this for the school. But I think that's come to fruition, and I don't think that I'm going to stop until they kick me out. So I think I'll be a 30-year guy is the max that you can do. So that's what my plans are from here. I think possibly in the next few years, as I'm getting older, I'm going to transition back into more of a training role as opposed to being an active role, just so I could stay home more.
So Kevin, where have your assignments and deployments been?
As far as assignments, I've done Texas for basic training and some of my fundamental training. And then my duty assignments have been to Travis Air Force Base in California and here to MacDill. I've been fortunate to only have 2 duty assignments. As for deployments, on the other hand, I've done a ton of those. Prior to 9/11, I actually got to go on a real-world deployment doing Operation Southern Watch, patrolling the no-fly zone in Iraq after their invasion into Kuwait, which was an awesome exercise, I guess, for me, because that was a non-hostile environment. We were just flying over, making sure everybody was staying where they were supposed to stay. And then after 9/11, that really came into me because I'd say 3 or 4 days after 9/11, I was already deployed off to real-world locations all over Southwest Asia, in the Indian Ocean. I think it's probably around 9 or 10 now. I just got back from one this past January where I did a couple months out in Southwest Asia, and in April I'll be heading back out again. So they're good experiences. Good experiences.
You've really got to see some country, haven't you?
I've been to about 36 countries that I've counted on my little map at home for the kids. So
wonderful. Getting back again, how do you feel your MTI experience, how has that served you to help you in what you're doing today?
It's helped in a few different ways. Back in the day when I did the drafting program, to start off with, going into aviation, having that drafting background really helped me understand wiring schematics and understanding blueprints of the aircraft, which helped propel my military career in that sense. As far as the EMT and fire training that I got, the EMT training has really come full circle lately because my squadron has made me the self-aid buddy care instructor and CPR instructor. So I get to utilize the skills that I've learned in EMT to bring those guys to the next level in teaching them combat in-field training for CPR and self-aid buddy care for wounds and things of that nature.
Kevin, what do you think you'd say to somebody who needed some direction, perhaps in education about MTI?
That's a funny question. Actually, I get asked that question quite often in the community from friends that I went to high school with that chose careers and things didn't work out so well with them after the economy. And they always come to me and talk to me about my military education and my college education and ask where they should go to school. And I always tell them that they should start off with a tech school first to see if they're really interested in that. Because the reason I'm back in the military now is because after I got done with MTI, went into the military, got out, and utilized the skills I learned not only from MTI, but from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, where I got my bachelor's degree. I decided what I studied really wasn't what I wanted to do. So going back again to try out the fire and the EMT programs, that allowed me to try another avenue. Unfortunately, for the economy at the time, I couldn't get into the fire service, which brought me back to the military. But I always suggest that to them. An example of that would be if someone, a lot of people say they want to be a nurse, and I say, why do you want to go to school for 4 years? Why don't you go take a 6-week program to be an EMT to see if you like the blood and gore of being an EMT first, and then if you're good with that, then move on to paramedic school and then do a jump program into a nursing program, and you can save a lot of time while putting money in your pocket along the way with the skills that you've learned at school.
Kevin, thank you so much from our area, our state, and our country for serving. And thank you for being here, taking time out to let everybody know how MTI matters. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing your story and showing how MTI matters in your life. You're an inspiration to all of us. Kevin Mcgrath is just one of many members of our community who received their start on the road to success at Manatee Technical Institute. In future programs, we will be introducing you to others for whom MTI matters. If you're an MTI alum and have a story to tell, we'd like to hear from you. Please email us at mtialum@manateeschools.net or call us at 941-751-7900, extension 2231. If you're interested in learning more about programs at Manatee Technical Institute, 7-time Skillsusa champion, please email us at mti@manateeschools.net or call us at 941-751-7900, extension 2245. You can also visit us at our website at techtimesonline.org. I'm Kathy Matthews. Thank you for tuning in today. I invite you to join us next time to discover why MTI matters.